Hi everybody, it's Miss Toth here. Last time we were looking at multiplication, we were talking about groups of multiplication as groups of something, equal groups of things that are going to give you the whole total. And one of the strategies we talked about doing was to skip count. What I'm going to ask you to do right now is I'm going to put a problem up on the board here, and I want you to think about a strategy that you can use, or a strategy that might help you in order to solve this problem. Remember, the answer is not the most important thing. I want you to think about how you are going to solve the problem that I put up here. Okay, so here it is. The problem that I want you to think about is 4 times 3. I want you to think about what 4 times 3 means and how you can be able to solve that. Just think about it. You can pause me for a minute and turn and talk to your family about how you would solve that problem, what strategy you would use to make that make sense for you. Okay? All right, so we're back now. And I hope you had a chance to think about that problem, 4 times 3. So for you right now, in the classroom, when we do math, we always talk about all these different strategies that you could use. And what we always say is, these are lots of strategies that you have. However, there are strategies that will work just for you and maybe not for everybody else, because you are unique, you are special, and your brain is different than other people's. Right? So I don't know what the strategy was that you thought of. You could have thought about maybe doing the groups like what we talked about in the last videos, or you could have thought about maybe skip counting. We're going to talk about a concept today, and this concept is actually kind of an important one. And this concept is called an array. Array. Okay? So the array is a way to organize your math problem in a way that is going to help you look at strategies in lots of different, let me try that again. It is a method to organize your multiplication problem so that you can see it and figure out what strategies are going to work for you. So it's a way to display your work. So I'm going to just flip this down for a little bit. We're going to go back to the 4 times 3 problem that I've talked to you about already. That should be multiplication. That's an X. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if we have a group here, we're going to start to put them in order. So 4 times 3, if I were to do an array, it means there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's going to be 4 rows, and in every row you're going to see 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay, 2, 3, 2, 3. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of 1, 2, 3 in every single row. And this is how I display an array. It is just shows repeated addition or equal groups and rows. Okay, so when I look at this, I can find lots of just different strategies right now of how I can count this up by looking at my array. So I can do this. I can already see that this is 3. I can look at this as 3 plus 3 equals 6. And I know that this is 6. And then I can add this as another 6 because I know that's the same. And I know 6 plus 6 equals 12 because I'm very good with my math problems. So that's one way I can solve this array, by looking at it as an addition problem. Okay? There's another way that I can solve this. I can look at this as one group, 2 groups. I can see this as 2 groups of 3 in each section. And I know that 2 times 3 equals 6. So if you know that already, 2 times 3 equals 6. And I know 6 plus 6 equals 12. I can see the array in that way. All right. I can also just draw my array like I've done here. And I can simply just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or I can skip count. And I'm not going to skip count by 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip count by 3. And this is where skip counting by 3 comes in handy. 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so drawing arrays becomes a place for you to be able to see your problem, your multiplication problem laid out in a visual. If I show you this problem, and here's my array, how are we going to write that as a multiplication problem? Well, how many rows do I have? I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 rows. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, let's do this again. Pardon me. 3 rows of 5 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, I thought I meant to draw 5. Now, that's how I can show that. So by looking at the picture, I can find what the array is and what that math problem is going to be. And then it's a matter of determining how I'm going to solve this problem. For me, I might just count by 5s because I'm really good at counting by 5s. And I'm going to count by 5s 3 times. 5, 10, 15. And the answer is 15. You might be able to come up with another way of doing that. Let's try another way. If I'm going to draw another array, swirly candies, and here's another one. So here's another array of some swirly candies that I've drawn. I need to look at this. So I'm going to look at how many rows I have first of my array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 rows. And then I'm going to look across. How many candies do I have in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can see without counting all the way across that they're equally distributed and they're nice and neatly organized in a row. I don't need to keep counting. I can just see that. So how would you solve this problem? Would you count by 4s? Would you say 4 plus 4 equals 8? And 4 plus 4 equals 8 plus 4 more? Would you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Count by 1. Would you count by 2? 2, 4, 6. That might make sense if you can see the picture. Would you count, oopsies, by 5? Counting by 5. So instead of going across this way, could you go down this way? 5, 10, 15, 20. Could you look at this and go this way? And look at it as a group this way. Okay? So this gets into the switcheroos that we talk about, where you can actually switch the multiplication around the other way too. Instead of saying there are 5 rows of 4, we can say there are 4 columns of 5. And we can talk about that as well. Okay? So there's lots of different ways that you can look at an array and how you're going to look at it when you're doing multiplication. Okay, now, once you sort of start to understand what an array is, and I'm going to give you some math work with arrays, what I want you to do is when you're doing your arrays, I want you to think really, really clearly. Do I need to skip count? Is it better to count by ones, or is that going to take too much time? Can I look at the arrays and look at them in groups and figure out what's going to make sense for you? So remember, multiplication is equal groups of all the time. Okay, now when you start to understand the concept of an array and how to do it, now you need to get better at skip counting. So in one of the videos I posted last week, it was an online like cartoon with a pencil, and he was giving you some strategies on how to count and how to do multiplication with nines, and you can go back and you can look at the tips, but then we need to start getting into the point of skip counting, and skip counting on your fingers is a really great way to keep track of how you're skip counting. Okay, so if we go back to the math problem of 4 times 3, if we're going back to this problem, what I want to do is I want to skip count 4 times. I'm going to go 4, and I'm going to skip count by 3. So I'm going to skip count on my fingers. I'm going to take a look at my 4 fingers, and I'm going to skip count by 3 on my 4 fingers. So I'm going to start by saying 3, 6, 9, 12. So I know that 4 times 3 is going to give me 12. Okay, if I want to change this again, let's say now I need to solve the math problem of 6 times 3. And I don't know how to count by 6 but I know really, really good I can count by 3. I'm really great at it. So I'm going to pull up my 6 fingers, and I'm going to count by 3 on my 6 fingers. I'm going to say 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Now I know that 6 times 3 equals 18. Okay, so kiddos, last week when I gave assignments to you, and the first part was skip counting, it is really important that you are doing skip counting. If you still don't understand or can't quite remember how to go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, skip counting by 3, skip counting by 5, skip counting by 2, skip counting by 10, skip counting by, just keep trying it, skip counting by 6. Can you figure out different ways to skip count? Once you feel confident doing that, and once you understand the array, that's when you can start to memorize multiplication. But really, grade 3s, you need to be able to understand what is multiplication, what is an array. It's equal groups to equal a whole. Okay, so equal groups is something equaling a whole. The arrays are what lines it up so nicely so you can be able to see and figure out strategies that you can use to help you solve these problems. Okay, if you don't understand, send me an email and I can call you up and I can talk to you through it again, okay? Miss you lots.